Okay, folks, good evening. We get to do yet another week on the offside specific of what it is to become involved in active play. Uh, I'll address it right off the bat. Forgive the bait and switch. The eagle-eyed of you will have noticed that Bob is not here tonight. He had something come up, so he wasn't able to be here. So I will channel my best Bob Hurwitz. Um, but he played a big part in helping make this lesson. Uh, yeah. So that being said, did anybody have the time to? I know the folks who have joined us tonight did not join us last week. Has anybody been able to watch the recording of last week?
I wanted to, but I've been so busy with the start of the season with all the hats I have. But I will.
All right, so I'm going to take that as a no around the room. And I'm not doing that judgmentally. I'm just doing that to know what I'm dealing with here, just to know where you all stand. So I'm not going to cover last week because we have enough material to cover two sessions. Uh, However, we did intend to launch. I say we because I've got multiple personalities here. I'm really missing my Bob. Um, I had uh, the intent of a recap of last week and then diving into some continuing material this week. So there will be gaps in each of your knowledge, each of your narratives. Uh, but I think you're a sharp group, so most of you we'll get into it and see how we handle it. Uh, so this workshop, Bob and I developed this as an expo workshop this year. Um, it does a brief Law 11 review and then goes into the three categories of involvement in active play. That's what was covered last week. We'll recap that. And then it also talks about what happens when an opponent deliberately plays the ball and what happens around a deliberate save. Those two are the new items for tonight. So we're diving into Law 11 offside, and I've had kind of the rule of three with offside and teaching it before. That kind of went out the window when the IFAB started rewriting Law 11. But there's still, in my mind, essentially three components to offside, right? Yeah, the first thing we're looking at is position. All right, we're watching position, watching position, watching position, and then snapshot because there's timing. That's number two. And then number three is when we then call it, when a player becomes involved in active play. Now, you'll see on the page here, we do have a QR code. I'm sure this group is sharp as a tack, and they've all got the IFAB app on their phones. So tonight's content is pulled directly from the app and then, or from the laws, and then we'll discuss it. So it's a good time to download that if you haven't already, because we will talk about it. And make sure you get updated to the 2024, 2025 laws, because we are now responsible for applying those. All right. So, quick recap on becoming involved in active play. Throw it at me. What does it look like to become involved in active play?
Challenging a defender for the ball. When you are already in an offside position and your teammate
Well,
fighting for the ball when you're in an offside position.
touching the ball. I mean, going and kicking the ball, that would be pretty active.
Okay, yeah. That is quite active, yeah.
Affecting a defender, so they have to change their behavior.
There we go. Okay. All right, I said we had a sharp group. I was laughing earlier this week. I spotted a photo on my phone that we had, and it was from Team 3 something a few years back, and it was a complex Venn diagram of offside. And touching the ball was at the very center. If you touch the ball, as Keith said, you're going to be pretty guilty of becoming involved in active play. And then there are all the different layers interfering with play, interfering with an opponent. So I'm not going to rattle this off to you, but uh, as Robert mentioned, thank you, Robert. Uh, you know, it's judged at the moment the ball is played by or touched a teammate, and then you can be guilty of interfering with play by playing or touching the ball, interfering with an opponent by 4 different ways. So there's the line of vision, there's challenging an opponent for the ball, clearly attempting to play a ball, which is close when this action impacts on an opponent, making an obvious action, which clearly impacts on the ability of an opponent to play the ball. And then there is the final of the 3 main categories of gaining an advantage while playing the ball or interfering with an opponent, such as it's rebounded or deflected off the goalpost, crossbar, match official, opponent. And then there's when it's been deliberately saved by an opponent. That's something we get to talk about tonight. And because every rule gets its exception, Law 11 also has 3 special situations. So I will rattle these off because we covered them last week. So there's a player moving from standing in an offside position is in the way of an opponent and interferes with the movement of an opponent towards the ball. This is an offside offense if it impacts on the ability of the opponent to play or challenge for the ball. If the player moves into the way of an opponent and impedes the opponent's progress, the offense should be penalized under Law 12. All right. So some other considerations come in. The second of 3 special situations is when a player in an offside position is moving towards the ball with the intention of playing the ball and is fouled before playing or attempting to play the ball, or challenging an opponent for the ball. The foul is penalized as it has occurred before the offside offense. All right? So they didn't get involved in active play yet, even if they intended to. Okay. And then the final of the special situations, and this is the last of the recap, and then we'll be into a more engaging format. This is when an offense occurs when it is committed against. Let me start that over. I bungled that. An offense is committed against a player in an offside position who is already playing or attempting to play the ball or challenging an opponent for the ball. The offside offense is penalized as it has occurred before the foul challenge. Okay, so some tricky timing stuff there, but like a sharp group like you can handle it. All right, that's a recap. Now we get to talk about when an opponent deliberately plays the ball. What can you folks tell me about how Law 11 describes a situation when the opponent deliberately plays the ball? I'll close my blinds. What do you guys think of that?
What does it look like when they deliberately play the ball?
Yeah, tell me something about an
Or
opponent
like
deliberately.
this, they run.
Okay,
They run
thank you,
after it,
Keith.
and then I mean, we talked about challenging for the ball, but they're going to play the ball. The ball is on a track. They're running to get it, or they're receiving it from a pass, possibly.
Okay.
That would be, but I'm not sure that's what you're looking for.
I'm looking
What
for
if,
some life, Keith, and you brought it, so thank you.
so what if it's the defender, not knowing that the offside is going to be called, feels under pressure, decides to pass it back to the goalkeeper. And then maybe because he was under pressure, he does a poor pass.
Okay. Yeah, that's an option. We'll discuss that. So we'll dive into the law now. Thank you, both of you, for engaging. Um, a player in an offside position receiving the ball from an opponent who deliberately played the ball, including by deliberate handball, is not considered to have gained an advantage unless it was a deliberate save by any opponent. All right, let's keep that save part for later.
Misread the thing you were asking.
Yes, I
Okay.
agree with you, Keith.
Yes,
So
I
did I.
misread.
Um, all right. So when the
That's right.
opponent,
That's why you had the old get out of jail free card there.
yeah,
It's deliberately played. Got it.
yeah, we get that get out of jail free, right? So you've done everything you can to be guilty of offside. You're trying your best. You're in the position. You were there at the time the ball was last played by or touched your teammate. Um, and you're hoping to get involved in active play, but the opponent, they deliberately play the ball and you can't be offside. It's a get out of jail free card if it meets these criteria. So deliberate play, with the exclusion of a deliberate handball, is when a player has control of the ball with possibility of three things: passing the ball to a teammate, gaining possession of the ball, or clearing the ball. Does this sound familiar? Are we seeing match scenarios in our heads? That's good. We got a few veteran referees here. I like it. I like it. Okay. So if the pass, attempt to gain possession, or clearance by the player, so any of the previous three, uh, by the player in control of the ball, is inaccurate or unsuccessful, this does not negate the fact that the player deliberately played the ball. Does that give you anything to think about there?
It does. There's some there's a element of the ability to play the ball, and I think the big difficulty here is, I mean, for AYSO specifically, is what is the ability, what is the age level? So is it age appropriate? We see this often. How competent do you expect that player to be as they age up? You might expect a much higher level. Well, you would expect a higher level of ability to competently play a ball in a situation, whereas an 18U player may you know may be expected to play a ball that's a much more difficult ball than a 12U player who you might expect to play a ball a certain way. And so you have to determine what is a a bad attempt to play it versus a save or a lunging attempt or whatever, something where they wouldn't be expected to.
Yeah. Yeah. This is where it gets tricky. Um, so a lot of us, a lot of you are very helpful volunteers for your regions. I'm sure you're teaching, uh, whether it's the companion or the full-on regional referee course right now. Uh, how do you present this to your brand new referees?
Well, my name it's Robert, and
Yeah.
I haven't had the chance to present this to my new referees yet. I haven't particularly taught this section. However, just to speak to this, The key to me are the words in control of. Generally, no matter what the age, I mean, I think from 10U up, I can tell when a defender is in control of the ball.
Mhm.
Once they're in control of the ball, to me, if I'm understanding the law correctly, that resets the timing. And so that person is no longer offside. If this defender misplays the ball, too bad. If the attacker is not offside, because they aren't, because the defender has kicked the ball, not their own teammate,
Mhm.
it goes forward.
Yeah, I
Unless
love that.
deliberate save that we're going to talk about later.
Yeah. I love that reset term, Robert. So you take that snapshot, right? When the teammate player touches the ball, you take that snapshot and you're holding on to it because sometimes offside can take a moment. But as soon as that defender deliberately plays the ball, you reset. You can throw away that snapshot. You can clear
Yeah,
your
so
RAM.
definitely resets that moment of judgment. So I've done 12 regional classes this year so far, this season. It's horrible. But maybe it's only 10. But we do talk about this, and we try to give the concept of prior to control. I think when they're in control, that's very clear. They've controlled the ball, kick it backwards or whatever. But it's when a ball is rolling to them, say, and this is the example I use in 10U. Ball's rolling. You fully expect this player to play it, and what do you see in 10U a lot? It's pretty tragic. They go to kick the ball rolls up their foot, goes backwards, a little backwards kick that they did not intend to do, but it was not under pressure. There was not maybe the ball was rolling slowly, and they were in full on position to do that, and they kick the ball and it goes backwards. That's an unfortunate scenario you see in 10U. That is a reset of the moment of judgment. That's how we say it, even in 10U. But you have to take that circumstance into play. They probably should have played that ball. It was everything was expected for them to play that. It was not a save. It was
Mhm.
not a imminent situation where they were under pressure.
Yeah.
Obviously, that changes as we said with age.
Yeah. Um, Thank you, Keith.
I, I
Uh,
would I would add that there's some really nice clarifying videos in the regional course that show a 10U player attempting to take a swing at the ball with their foot. They do touch the ball, but they never have any possession of the ball or are able to direct it in any way that they intended to do. And they clarify that this is not a reset. I
yeah.
like the videos, they're very good.
Good. So I was going to ask if anybody believed this is not even worth teaching at that level.
I think the way Robert described it was good, because you do have to keep it fairly simple because you're trying to show basic concepts to people, make them grasp those basic concepts before you go in anything more advanced.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, John. Yeah, I realized the way I first phrased the question just assumed that everyone had an approach for dealing with this in the regional referee courses.
Plus, I mean, initially, like a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I was a little confused. I mean, I would make the point in an instructional class that if the defender simply deflects the ball, that is not in most, I'm thinking, I can't think of the case where that is in control of the ball. So
Yeah.
I remember when I was like an intermediate ref, I might have said that's not offside after that, but it is off. It is offside. If
And
if it's played by the attacker after it's been deflected only by a defender, they really weren't in control of
and
that
that's a
ball.
wonderful segue into, that was our recap of the first section. And then getting all turned around here. Hold on, there we go. These are the criteria that are telling us when, apply these appropriately. These are indicators that the player was in control of the ball and as a result can be considered to have deliberately played the ball. So there's the question we can ask ourselves. Did the ball travel from a distance and the player had a clear view of it? The further from which it comes and the more clear the view, the more likely we are to assess that as deliberate, right? Is the ball moving quickly, right? Do they have time to react? And, reaction times change. We've mentioned through as they age up, reaction times change. Uh, was the direction of the ball unexpected? Right? So when there's that, you know, it's so when we talk about offside, Law 11 talks about it's judged at the moment the ball was last played by or touched a teammate of the player. So that's not always deliberate. Like this player could get hit from behind. This teammate could get hit from behind, and then it goes to the player in the offside position. So that's one of those situations where you might not even, the defender, the opponent, um, might not expect the direction in which the ball's going. We actually get to see some clips of that. Um, there's the question of did the player have time to coordinate their body movement? Was it a case of instinctive stretching or jumping, or a movement that achieved limited contact and control? We're going to see some kids just take wild swings at through balls, right? And just the fact that they connect doesn't mean that it was always deliberate. You know, you get in the batter's box and you swing every time. Maybe eventually you're going to hit something. Not me. My baseball career is very short-lived. Um, and then finally, we have the ball moving on the ground, which is going to be easier to play than a ball in the air.
Mhm.
Unless some of you all have fields where that might be the opposite of the truth. Everyone's blessed with wonderful fields. That's okay. I've been to some fields where I worry about my ankles, and a ball on the ground there is not nearly as predictable as a ball on the ground, you know, well, at some of these wonderful fields. All right. So yeah, Robert segued us into thinking about okay, what criteria lets us know if it's a deliberate play. So that's going to be very useful for when we get into our video clips in a moment. Any questions on an opponent deliberately playing the ball? I agree with that dog. Move on. Okay. Yes. So the deliberate save. We've already mentioned this group has shown they have a knowledge of that. Somebody tell me what that means in the eyes of Law 11. I saw you unmute, John. Jarrett.
Well, I mean, a deliberate save is, the keeper makes an action towards the ball and it doesn't go in the net, right?
Wonderful. A player stops or attempts to stop a ball which is going into or very close to the goal with any part of the body except the hands or arms, unless it's the goalkeeper in their own penalty area. Which highlights what to us? That last statement. What does that highlight to us?
Is it the deliberate portion?
No, the unless the goalkeeper within the penalty area, the in parentheses there.
You mean the part about the goalkeeper can be the only one handling the ball in their save?
Yeah. So what we're actually looking at is any player on the opponent team. It's any player can make a save. So even though I've got just an image of a goalkeeper here, that's my sleight of hand to throw you off, right? Any player on the defense. So that means this is not a get out of jail free card. And this one sentence stands on its own. There's no recap, there's no extra for deliberate save. That's all we got. Does anybody have any questions, any discussion they want to have on deliberate save?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there's a couple of things. So I think I recall the law saying when this happens in front of or near the goal. So to me, it's kind of vague what near is, except for a couple, maybe 4 to 5 feet, and it's going toward, it's going to go into the goal if there is an intervention by the defender. So, I mean, it's like I know it when I see it, but
Yeah.
my question is what if you have a situation where the keeper, say he he successfully does a save, in my opinion. He punches or parries or pushes the ball way out to the corner, like, way out to the corner on his right side. And a person who had been in an offside position before that action by the keeper gets the ball, dribbles it around two defenders, and scores. Because he touched the ball initially after that action by the keeper, was that a deliberate save? And would you then, as an AR, call that offside? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I think to be safe, I would, but because of all the things I don't know. I just would like some clarity.
I get, and I just want to, my feeling is, when is the moment of judgment? Right? The moment of judgment was then that ball was last touched or played by a teammate. So the deflection, the save never reset that, no matter where they saved it to. That's my feeling, but that's just my take. Not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's kind of my feeling, because deliberate saves, deflections don't reset the moment of judgment. So where were they at that point?
Yeah. So I think, Robert, the crux of your question, if I'm trying to distill, is do we count that first thing as a save? Um, so you're talking about out toward the edge, the side edge of the penalty area, right?
Oh, I'm talking where the save happened was in front of the goal.
Okay.
But the ball goes so far away before an attacker ever touches it, and they make moves around one or more defenders before they score. I agree with Keith. I mean, if you read the letter of the law, I agree with what Keith just said. But it just seems not, it just seems wrong. But, that's the law I want to follow. So that's why I want your opinion on that. Like, how would you look at that?
Yeah. Does anybody else want to weigh in on this one? This is a focused discussion. I know I've talked a lot. I've talked a lot already, but I invite you all.
My feeling is that there's been so much time passed that I wouldn't, in Robert's scenario, I wouldn't be calling offside. That's my feeling because of the time element. I have a variation of what Robert said,
Can,
which gets rid of time.
so what if the kick comes and forget that the goalkeeper touched it? It deflects off the crossbar or the upright and goes way over to the corner, where a defender in an offside, an attacker in an offside position, way over there, and it's just sitting there, and they go collect it, and we're not going to call offside because
No,
No, to
it
me,
took a
that's
long
clearer.
time.
That's clearer. That to me, that's
Well, why? I'm just going to say, if we're saying a deliberate save does not reset the moment of judgment, why is there a time element? Is there a time element in the law?
well, it
because
does
The
say
it's
that
offside
a
law?
I don't think
It-
there's any difference, Keith, in what you described and what the crossbar. If it was a deliberate save, just because the ball went super far away, I think it's the exact same as it hit the crossbar, went super far away. It never reset the time of judgment, so it should have been called offside. There should have never been enough time for him to move around two defenders. It should have been flagged as soon as he got the ball for gaining an advantage for the position. But that's my take.
Yeah, I, I agree with that, obviously, since but also I just want to know where the time element, why that comes into the discussion. I didn't realize there was a time element ever anywhere mentioned in offside.
Just at the moment the ball is last touched or played
Right.
by
Yeah,
the teammate.
that's the time element. Other than that, it doesn't say, but we had to wait a long time. We had a great clip of almost exactly what was discussed with the long wait last week. Um, I don't have it queued up for tonight. Um, but it took a while. It took a while. Um, and the player kind of decided, oh, I know I'm offside. I'm not going to play it. And then in the end, oh, okay, I'm going to get involved anyway. You
Okay,
could see
so
him go back and forth.
I'm a little confused. I thought they were saying if it was a deliberate save, then it resets it. So hitting the crossbar isn't a deliberate save.
We
Or am I
have
reading the statement
a
wrong?
we have the deliberate play of the ball, and then so the deliberate play of the ball by the opponent is a reset, period. The deliberate save is the exception to the deliberate play. It is the not reset.
Okay, so good. So it
Yeah.
takes away the scenario I was gonna bring up where it was more faster, and I would say that it would be offside. But yes, now I agree with Keith and Robert.
Yeah, so there's no time element to it. And on the field, you might have to do a bit of explaining, especially if this is a 10U, a bit of a teaching moment has arisen, right? So if we get through everything with extra time, I'll pull up that clip from last week, uh, and we'll be able to take a look at that. But how about we get into some video clips? Hmm?
Just before that, let me just say the key
Yeah,
here on this statement is between a deliberate play and a deliberate save is stops or attempts to stop a ball which is going into or very close to the goal.
exactly.
That is the key. So, because otherwise I would say, well, how do you tell whether it's just, stopping a ball and playing it or a deliberate save? So
Hmm.
that's key. That's key. The that it's going into or very close to the goal.
But
Yeah.
but to your other point, Robert, I think it does get confusing because the purpose for the law, in my view, is to prevent this cherry picking scenario of gaining an advantage. And what you described was that two defenders were able to get back and get in front of him, but he was able to still dribble around him and score. So he really didn't gain an advantage because there were defenders. But we don't get to make those decisions, right? Because once the law says he was already offside for gaining possession where he was, what happened after that, we're not going to judge. We just should have been flagged at that point.
Well
Yeah,
said.
I had a chuckle to myself when I was preparing this workshop because we talk so much about the spirit of the law, the law, the what the intent of the law. And then law 11 is so much rigor about something, and it doesn't it kind of gets split from the spirit of the law. And we get here all nitpicky on this stuff. And so I was just chuckling to myself as I was making this. This isn't really a spirit of the law thing, is it? You boy, I hope everyone here has seen the Ken Aston clip describing what is offside. Um, and he gets right to the spirit of the law there. Uh, you've got a spy behind enemy lines, and You might not notice them, but once you notice them, once they're interfering with your operations, you take them out and you shoot them. Um, and some of this stuff might seem, I'll say it, trifling, but I do not write the law. Let's get into some clips because they do get good at that gray area. All right, so this one we're going to talk about whether the opponent deliberately plays the ball. Now, I'll play it through. It sounds like from history, it's a little glitchy to start and then it smooths out. If you've downloaded this ahead of time, uh, you've got the luxury of having it on your local machine and you can play it with full smoothness. Alrighty, folks.
For in 10U, that is not a goal.
Because they would never be that skilled enough to kick it.
I don't know if it would be that defender, even though it came from distance, he was never in control of that ball.
More than that, he wasn't in control of his body.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how you could allow that goal.
I don't know. That was two misplays by two defenders, who are incredibly skilled players.
He was looking at that ball coming in as well.
He
and at that level, like
it did get deflected by his teammate, which probably caused him to misplay it. But yeah, I agree with you. They had plenty of time to play that ball and defend it. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was totally offside before that ball was kicked, and he was offside when that ball was kicked.
Absolutely offside when the ball was kicked. He's in an offside position. We're just determining whether should that player at that level have been able to control that ball.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. The key is, did he control the ball? Not was he able to control the ball.
No control.
He did not control the ball.
Were those deliberate actions, I guess, is what the question is, right?
Right.
Was that deliberate?
The total Lewis answer to this would be, what do they mean by deliberate?
Well,
in other words, did he deliberately try and hit the ball and he misplayed it? Or did he deliberately try to play the ball that way?
Well, I don't think it matters. I think both of those things are saying the same thing. Just because the ball didn't go where he wanted to doesn't change the fact that he deliberately played it, does it?
I don't know. That's where Lewis would usually, when we asked him the question, would turn around and say, well, look it up and what does the law say? That's a Lewis
Well,
reply.
Yeah,
that's very fair.
I would say my opinion is influenced by the distance that the ball came from, and that's one of our guidelines. And at this level of play, when the ball came from that far away, I'm ruling it deliberate.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think you could still deliberately play the ball, but not do what you intended to do with the ball, right?
And because it's at such a distance, I think the expectation is that you expect them to play that. They saw it, it came in. They are very skilled at the top level. I assume this is Champions League. I think I see it over there, or Europa. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's how I feel about it.
this is a great discussion. We've got people using the law on both sides, yes and no. And yeah, somebody referenced there what the law says: if the pass, attempt to gain possession, or clearance by the player in control of the ball is inaccurate or unsuccessful, this does not negate the fact the player deliberately played the ball. So the IFAB says they're not deliberately playing the ball here because it was an
Oh,
unexpected ball.
really?
That was
I was
unexpected
going to go the
from
other
I
way
agree.
40
I
yards
agree.
away.
because he moved into the flight of the ball.
Yeah,
He was deliberately
unexpected.
trying to
Wow.
play the ball, but he tripped or whatever happened that he lost his balance.
Yeah, I didn't.
He had
Go
one
ahead.
chance to play that ball, one chance, one moment.
And he never
Yeah.
controlled it.
And
Is control
Yeah, I
part
don't
of it?
think
If you
control
keep
is
saying
part
it,
of it.
control. It's whether he could deliberately play it. There is no did he control it
Let's look back
there,
then at those
right?
slides.
well, it does say
Right?
here, and
It
this
says,
is the IFAB kind of stepping on its own toes, right?
Right.
So a um,
Saves.
a player in an offside position receiving the ball from an opponent who deliberately played the ball, including a deliberate handball, is not considered to have gained an advantage unless it was a deliberate save by the opponent. And then a deliberate play is when a player has control of the ball
All of it.
with
That's the
possibility of
deliberate
passing
play.
it, gaining
it does,
possession, or
Mhm.
clearing. So you can have control of the ball without possession, which is
Right.
curious.
Which is very curious.
So I would say, would anybody say there was possession here?
No.
This was
No,
probably more an attempt to clear the ball, right? And
sure.
I didn't catch who said it, but someone mentioned the teammate up front heading the ball. Now you can see from that angle the teammate doesn't head the ball,
He
but then
doesn't, but he attempts to and then lets
yeah,
up,
and it
which
makes
might
me
have put him off.
wonder, yeah, it's almost like our defender here fell asleep. He thought, oh, okay, my teammate's got it, and then he's like, and I could see that being why the IFAB says, hey, this was not an expected ball.
Because he thought his teammate was going to head it, so it's
Right.
unexpected on that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess so.
So we do have an IFAB decision here, and if I see a
It's
12U
a
player
shame the IFAB got it wrong.
no, I think IFAB got it right.
if I see a 12U
So
player stumbling backwards, I'm probably not going to accuse them of deliberately playing the ball.
Mhm.
the
But
IFAB is not going to weigh in on that.
those kids
Well,
don't always make as much money as these folks. But anyway, this is what the IFAB says.
plus this guy, I don't like him.
Well, the IFAB says that any kid, any level is not going to be offside, right? So
Okay, what do we think? I'll play it through again as you start talking. Do we see an opponent deliberately playing the ball?
I think he tried to kick it.
Boom.
That's deliberate.
yeah, and I would just say that it just because it's inaccurate doesn't override that he did a deliberate play.
Mm-hmm.
But I like being wrong on these, as the last one shows.
Right. I mean, did he control it?
No,
No,
No.
no control.
it seems like a
Was it
deflection.
desperate?
Yes, because
He knows he's beat,
the
right?
the attacking player was behind him, so he wouldn't have known where the attacker was, whether he was in an onside or offside position. Because all he's doing is watching the ball,
Mm-hmm.
and he may or may not even have, I didn't catch whether he looked to the white player or not. And he may assume if he doesn't, that the player started in an onside position.
Yeah, he doesn't look back from the time player crosses the halfway line.
Seems like a pretty desperate save to me that he
Yeah.
obviously did not control well, but also if you're talking about in proximity to the goal, if that's part of the consideration, clearly wasn't, but
And the speed of the ball, he's just being desperate. He's trying to get anything he
I agree.
can get on the ball.
Yeah. So I'm hearing a lot of the question of whether the player had time to coordinate their body movement,
No, he did not.
i.e., was it a case of instinctive stretching or jumping or movement that achieved limited control or contact with the ball?
It wasn't deliberate.
That's what
Well, some of you deserve a pay raise.
So now we're going to find. Oh, okay, good. I thought you were going to set us up and it was going to say deliberate play.
There's
Yeah.
no trust in me, huh?
well, you set it up very well.
Mhm. Yeah, so that one's a pretty good case of this player's desperate, right? He's doing what he can. Because imagine if he didn't do anything there, right?
Right. Then it would have been just vanilla offside.
Yeah. But sorry, imagine if he didn't do anything and it weren't called offside. That player is going to be in some hot water.
Correct.
Sorry, that's what I was getting to. But yeah, it
Oh.
would be a vanilla offside if he just stood there and watched it.
Right.
Yeah.
Then he could say, I knew it.
That was deliberate.
Yeah.
Deliberate.
Andy's saying deliberate, keeping the flag down.
I agree.
He headed the ball, right?
Yeah, it was
Head
deliberate.
of the ball, he had time and space, and I think that's deliberate.
It just
Yeah,
wasn't good enough
just because
technique.
I've been wrong on each one, I'm going to say not deliberate, so I know it's deliberate.
See, I'm going to stick to
Okay,
it.
I'm
till
going
I'm
with
right.
whatever. I'm
You
going
know,
with
I'm gonna
whatever
say
the
it's
opposite
deliberate.
of Bert said.
Yeah, I think
That
you
is
all.
the smart move.
I'm going to add not a save because the ball wasn't going in the goal.
Right.
Okay, yeah. There's the save consideration. It's not very close to the goal. All right, there's one final look at it.
Bam.
I think we got a bunch of smart cookies here.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're playing through. I wonder if they cut the clip right there because it was actually called offside.
Right, I wonder too.
If only we could watch these plays over and over again in real time before we made our call.
Yeah, I think it should. All righty.
Oh, you don't? I
Not
do. I
yet.
stop the game. I have somebody film it, and then I stop and I go look.
Let's assume that attacker got his head on the ball. So we don't go down that rabbit hole. I heard a groan. I know you all are thinking hard about this one.
Did the ball just go out of play? I don't see that the attacking team touched it again after that.
He
I don't
said,
think
"Let's
he did.
pretend he did.
Yeah.
Let's pretend he did.
Oh, okay.
Let's pretend
Right.
the Chilean player got it."
The
What,
AR didn't think so.
You say corner?
What I wanted to see which none of the videos showed us, is whether the guy yellow heading the ball was pushed by the player from behind,
Hmm.
and
Uh,
therefore,
So you can let
I've
me let
seen
me
yeah,
VAR.
none of
no,
I was
who
specifically
pushed
looking
from
for,
behind.
and I couldn't. There was no way to tell whether or not,
I'm
because
doing my
it hit him in the
VAR
back
Doesn't
of
too.
the
look like
head.
doesn't look like he got pushed from behind, but let's say he didn't.
So right here,
I mean,
he's got it.
this is always a
He,
tough one for me because I've seen a clip like this before, and at this skill level and this right, they're going to say, I think they're going to say that's a deliberate play of the ball under control. Was it going in the goal? No, but like I don't know if I agree. I mean, when you're jumping up high to do a header like that in traffic, it just seems
yeah.
so much like a save. But I've heard that they're expected to play that ball.
Here, you want me
Uh,
as your VAR here. Let me zoom in for you. And you can see I'm highlighting, I'm your VAR. He's got a
yeah,
teammate between him and the defender
right.
behind him.
Yeah.
Yep, saw that.
So I don't see him getting pushed by an opponent.
So do we make
What?
two different calls whether or not the attacker ended up getting the ball or not?
No, the attacker got the ball. That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to say goal kick and not worry about it.
And this is why Bert is an advanced referee. Because to be a national referee, you have to have three things: character, consistency, and courage. I kid, Bert. I know it's coming.
Bert has all of those things, and there's
Have
I
the
have
another
courage.
thing.
4. That's my problem.
have the courage to make a call or not make a call. Um,
It is
Deliberate.
it is
It was
it's
deliberate.
deliberate.
coming, Bert.
It was a deliberate head by the defending team. So
Okay.
That guy's on the LA. He's on LAFC now.
All
Giroux.
right. So let's look at our criteria. Where does this fall?
It's in the proximity of the goal.
Okay.
I haven't heard Robert weigh in on this. I'm going to
Are
say
we
it's
thinking
deliberate.
this is an attempt to pass the ball to a teammate, gain possession of the ball, clear the ball?
Clear the
clear.
ball.
Clear the
Yeah.
ball.
Clear the ball by kicking or heading it. Does that actually show up?
A deliberate save
All right.
by heading it out of the bounds.
But is that really in the goal area? That's on the top of the penalty area?
I
It's not the goal area, Bert, but I think it's a penalty area.
But I mean, no, he wasn't trying to clear the ball over the goal line. He needed to jump a couple more inches higher so that he would have cleared it
mhm.
towards the half.
So do you think it was a case of instinctive stretching toward the ball?
No.
No, okay. Okay.
I mean, I'm going with what Cindy said before. He had plenty of time. He didn't get distracted by another teammate trying to head it. I mean, and at that level, you expect them to play that ball. He was trying to play it. He didn't play it well. Um,
Yeah.
Keith, I'm going to vote the other way this time.
oh, really? You don't think he had distance and time to play that?
I think he was
Well, I'm still using your
desperately
previous
lunging his
example.
body at the ball and didn't play it in a controlled manner.
So
This is the exact USSF video I saw before where and it was worse, and they said it was a deliberate play on the ball. It was worse. It was heading toward the goal, and the guy did it, headed it backwards. I didn't agree. So now I'm once bitten, and I want to say that I thought he did
yeah,
really
I remember a clip that US Soccer was teaching from early on when this came
right.
in, and it was hard to agree with that. Uh,
I
and
didn't, but I was
yeah,
chided for it. Okay, not deliberate. See, that's why.
so they're leaning on the fact the player did not have time to coordinate their body movement i.e., it was a case of instinctive stretching or jumping or a movement that achieved limited contact or control.
All right.
So that's how they're playing on this one. But let's look at some youth soccer, all right, and some fantastic, fantastic referee. The video quality is not as high, but the refereeing quality is just as high.
Offside.
Robert
that
agrees
was-
with the call on the field.
That was a beautiful call. I agree.
Who is that AR anyway? Good job.
We have that referee and that AR with us tonight.
Good job.
So who was it?
Oh, that's Keith over there.
Man, I got a call right.
I like how you stepped back to where the offside occurred. So good job on that too.
So we agree with this call?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Now that I know it's Keith, I'm going to say no. It was,
Great camera work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm very happy. And Chris Doucette has gone through a number of our videos and pulled out some real gems like this one.
I can't believe you can't tell that was me, Bert, because I'm so slow. That should have been the tip.
If you would have been limping, I didn't see limping there. So.
It might have been a couple of years
Ooh.
ago.
I'm going to move this conversation on before we take too many digs at Keith.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, deliberate save, right? No get out of jail free card. Go straight to jail. Okay. There's not much discussion on that one. Just a wonderful clip. All right. Here's another one.
Significance of the first goal. That's massive. Stopping this.
Yeah, that's annoying. Let me start that over.
Significance of the first goal. That's massive. Massive for Aston Villa. They're a little slow, Southampton, in stopping this delivery. I'm just seeing there, Jacob Ramsey's in an offside position. There's a fair bit of play that goes on after that. But look, you see Ramsey right in the middle of the 6-yard box, standing in an offside
Wow, that's a
position.
lot to take in.
It's just whether or not. There he is there. Just when that header comes in from Tyrone Mings, Ramsey's in an offside position. Does he affect the goalkeeper? Is he looking for it? You could argue not, but when you're right in the middle of the goal and you're in an offside position, I find it hard to think why it should be allowed. Look, first contact there, you're in an offside position, you end up knocking it in the net. I think you have to deny that one, I do. It'd be interesting to see what happens.
Don't mind me, I'm in the net.
Yeah, so as was stated, that one is a lot to take in.
Yeah, because when I first looked at it, I thought the Aston Villa player in the offside position next to the keeper had played it. Wow.
All right.
That's a tough one. I can't hear anyone. I would like to weigh in. Hello? Wow.
So right here, the ball is getting played by a teammate of the attacker. And there's robbery going on here. We don't mind that. So this guy's in an offside position, right?
Correct.
Where did my mouse go? There we go. And look at him just parked there. So
Keeper has no control.
Keeper doesn't, but does the defender. So it comes off. The the other defender in an offside position there, well, was he? I don't even know if he was initially. So let's see. Header, he's not. Well, there's a save, deliberate save off the
And then
crossbar. He
another
doesn't play it.
save. He's trying to clear it.
There's a deliberate head back, but was he
What-
really?
That's the issue.
He was,
I think
Right
he's
he
there.
trying
was
to clear it,
right.
right?
That
That's
is
the
the
issue.
issue right there.
That's the
He
issue.
was leaning back and
Well, after what I said last time, this time I'm going to say that exact opposite, that it is offside, because the defender, the white defender that headed the ball that went to the player that was in an offside position at the original taking of the strike, was doing it instinctively because the ball was coming, with almost no time or anything else, and it's in that close proximity of the ball to the goal. His only instinct is to get it out of there, because he has no idea that the player was in an offside position or not.
See, I only think that the only thing that I'd be looking at is if the player in the net affected the keeper. I think that it's a deliberate play out, and if it is without that person in the keeper or near the keeper, then I'd say it's a reset because it's a deliberate play to get it out. Because if he would have brought it down, he would have been in big trouble. And I mean, either right out or in the goal area. So my thing would be, did this right here affect?
I don't think he affects the goalkeeper.
If I don't think he affected the goalkeeper, I'm going to say that it's a goal.
Well, this player actually is not eligible for offside, because look at this.
Because they were onside when the initial touch took place, right? So they're not offside. I agree. They are not offside.
Well, wait, but is he offside when the head happens? When it's if the reset is a deliberate play.
After the striker kicks the ball towards the goal,
what you're saying.
An attacking player never
so
touched
after
the ball.
head is that, then I would say he's in an offside position. And if I thought he affected the keeper,
yeah, but the ball
I don't think he affected him. That's your opinion, right? So
well, no, only attacking player that touched the ball.
You could.
Yeah.
So at the
if in
time
your
he
opinion,
kicked it out, or it was headed out, then he kicked it, that player was in an offside position.
So you can see it if you keep playing the clip. Keeper deflects it. Then when the player who finally knocks it into the net, right? So
he's not
now
in an
number
position.
4 is in an offside position. He's actually he's considered to be on the goal line, right?
When the keeper deflected it, he was offside in an offside position.
But he was in the goal. Was he really
judgment doesn't get
affecting the
reset?
keeper?
Well, no, because then it wouldn't be reset.
It doesn't get reset for the deliberate save. I mean,
let me ask a couple
but
questions.
The head
here.
would be a deliberate.
We've got a great conversation going on, and it's focused on terms of the laws. So, good job. Let me ask a couple questions here. Right here. What are we calling that?
Save.
Deliberate save. Great
deliberate
save. Great play.
All right, yeah. Very athletic. So from there, by the way, the last time a teammate touches the ball, it's right here. So this is when offside position is judged. All right, so we've got a consensus. That is a deliberate save, so no reset. And then we've got a question here.
Oh,
right.
I don't see how it could be a deliberate save going away from the goal.
Is that a deliberate save?
Yes,
right there.
Or does he have control of his body?
Or did he control it? He looks pretty
off balance.
Off balance, and
it's almost like he ducks. He has to duck from the ball.
Right.
Oh,
I mean, when last time I said it was deliberate, and then they said it wasn't. And this one is even less deliberate than the previous one that I had wrong.
Well, I think it still could be considered a save.
Yeah, it's deliberate, but I mean,
Ball's going away from the goal, so he wasn't saving it from going in the goal. He's trying
That's
to
what
save
I
it
would
from
kind of
what
say.
might go in the goal.
So
That's a,
then if we're asking that, we're asking, did the ball travel
Wow.
from a distance and the player had a clear view of it? Was the ball moving quickly? Was the direction of the ball unexpected? Did they have time to coordinate their movement?
I'm going to
Was that
say
ball
the
on the
ball,
ground
the
in the air?
movement of the ball was kind of, and he was rushing it. And like you said, look at the contortion he has to do on his body to get
Yeah,
his head on it, even.
yeah.
I'm preparing myself to be wrong, but
You folks
I'm
are
going
having
to,
a good conversation. I don't have an IFAB decision on this one.
Oh, you don't?
Last week we snuck away just focusing everyone on the criteria in the conversation. We didn't actually give so many answers. But this one, um, we're saying offside. There is no reset there. Yeah,
all right.
this fella in the
That's what
middle.
is that what VAR came up with?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Yeah. So anyway, and the announcers, the
Right.
broadcasters got
I
stuff
got
like
to say that I can't give that one.
yeah. All
You
right. And
know.
here's one from earlier this year.
Oh,
This is our
okay.
penultimate clip here. So
Corner kick opportunities. Emsley looking to create again. Bouncing around. This is how the last one scored. We are tied! Rocky
There you go.
Rodriguez
I didn't
makes
see
her
that one.
Angel
Before.
City debut.
But I can't get my head around this. What a ball from Claire Emsley, set pieces from her. And Kansas City Current just have not defended in those areas. Their zonal marking. Rocky Rodriguez jumps there. You can see Paige Nielsen as well. They keep it alive. Rocky Rodriguez, great finish. Great finish.
Okay, hold on. Not game on just yet because Danielle
No,
Chesky is
they
going
weren't
over to
looking
take
at
a
the
look.
finish. They were looking at the player
intervening
that
with something
passed
here.
it back to the person that finished. It's going to be the question, right?
oh, hold on, we're
Yep.
having a drink break. Let's pick our drink.
Looked like a handball to me.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Not entirely sure what
So it's interesting.
is
There's
being looked at
a
here.
deflection. There's a player in offside position, like right in front of the keeper, right? And then there's there's a deflection off a defender and a
somewhere in the
deflection
middle of
off a
that
second defender.
fray in front of the goal.
But the first one's clearly a deflection off
Good
of
luck getting a good
maybe
look at that.
shoulder up top, and then the second
But it
one,
was
I don't
enough,
know.
obviously, for the VAR
Did
to
it come
recommend Danielle
unexpectedly?
Chesky to
Yeah,
take a look
probably.
at it
Did she
herself.
touch her right there?
So
I thought you got her hand on it right there.
Perhaps offside here. Off the
I'm
deflection
gonna
where it
say
would
offside.
reset. You can't be offside on a corner. It resets on the deflection.
wow, you know what's the most amazing part of all this is that an
Touches it
announcer
here.
is speaking intelligently about a law of the game. That is the most incredible thing about
Yes, I agree.
this and the previous one.
Keith, that's because it's a female announcer.
This action. Originally, it looks like
Okay.
Good
Fair.
point.
Yay, Cindy.
Oh, they
Offside.
gave it a,
No goal.
okay, there you
This
go.
one is a really difficult one to dissect. We can see here Paige Nielsen goes up. Kennedy Fuller and Messiah Bright both in offside positions.
Yeah, you'd have to say that's what yeah.
The thing that you had to catch was the fact that it wasn't the person that scored was in an offside position. It was the one that passed it back to her.
Mhm.
Good point.
Oh,
Because the first time I saw it, I'm like, well, she's behind everybody. Then I had to see, oh, how did she get the ball?
I have to see what happened. We haven't.
yeah, I'll bring a phrase
'Cause
here.
I
This
wasn't even
is
sure she did pass it back to her. I thought it came off the defender.
Yeah, I
back
thought it
to
came
her.
off of a tap.
Yeah.
I didn't see.
This-
Yeah, I didn't see Black pass it back. I thought it came off her.
This is a long clip, but
Let's see.
thanks to Cindy
Oh.
for finding it. All right, here
Yeah,
we
does
go.
she ever touch it? I can't tell.
Right here. Teammate touches it. We got two players
Right.
offside, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
1, 2. Sorry, in an
And it's
offside
going to go
position.
off at 94 to the blonde-headed girl. with the braids.
All right. So right there, what happened right there? What are we calling that?
Deliberate save or deflection?
Deliberate save.
Not deliberate.
That's
We're
a
not.
save.
We're saying deliberate save,
Deliberate save.
Okay.
and also at the
So-
same time not counting it as a deliberate play. Yeah, the wording, the IFAB has tricky wording there,
Right.
right? Deliberate save,
Tricky.
but
So it comes off her, and then she is totally. See, I don't think Black touches it there. That's me. I can't tell.
No, it's
But I
going to
thought I
drop
still
down to
it
17.
comes off 14, goes to 94. Who is totally surprised about how it comes to her because
yeah.
it comes off as her teammate's shoulder, neck,
So
whatever.
at this point, no reset. We're still going from the original
Right.
touch.
Right.
All right. Did you see that right there?
Mm.
17.
Yeah,
Yep.
she touched it.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, offside.
Yep.
Why, Bert?
Way to go, Bert.
Because the deliberate save by whatever the red player and then the player offside got to it. She was still in an offside position. We didn't reset the
Right.
time of judgment, so offside.
Off a teammate. Then a deflection right there. And then
Mhm.
she's surprised, like, whoa, I didn't see that. She was ready, and then it got deflected. So
Yeah.
back off of her, a second deflection, I would say, or deliberate save, and then boom, she scores off that.
Yeah, there's a fair bit going on, and then there's also the injury going on, which this is Kristen Nesbitt, right? She notices the injury right away.
Wow.
Do we care that we either think it's a deflection or a deliberate save there because it doesn't reset?
I think the point is that it doesn't reset. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing there reset the play.
So
Yeah.
it wasn't a deliberate save by that field player.
Yeah. I could argue for it being a deliberate save there or not a deliberate play, which is difficult wording that the IFAB has
Right.
given us. Perhaps they will elucidate that coming up. Great discussion, though. You guys are really keying in on the important factors, getting to the accepted decisions. I've got one more clip here.
Is the only one in there. It's going to be extremely difficult for him to get anything going if he's 1 against 4 in the back, and this was their main issue last week.
Juninho, Chicago Fire, Nemanja Nikolic, welcome to Major League.
Well, you see this again, and you see Nikolic in an offside position, so I don't know if they think that maybe Sonny was the one that tapped that ball to
That
him.
kid's saying it's offside.
Or Delu, how did you see him here? Sonny's chasing him, and obviously, yes, that's a great call by the referee on that. Because I kept on talking, thinking it's an offside call, and the next thing we know, the flag is down. Sonny comes back, and he's the one that just tips the ball to Nikolic, and from then on.
All right. Is that what you expected to see there?
No, I didn't.
No, I
Didn't
didn't catch the defender deliberately playing the ball back.
I knew since it seemed so totally obviously offside, it must not have been, and the defender had to play it because
Referee's trying to help him.
Yeah.
Like, come
That's
on, guys, it's not offside.
It's Kevin Stott there, right? Yeah, so no doubt in the world about this once we get the replay, right? Oops.
Good angle by the ref.
Yeah, and that's really the key of this one for me. What's I love the goalkeeper here just standing with the hand up.
Right.
That's the prayer approach to defense. But so teamwork is huge here. As we go to the next shot, you'll see the AR has stopped. And
No,
He's
it's
telling
even
him,
better.
let's go.
The guy that kicked the ball sitting there, and he knows he kicked it, is sitting there raising his hand saying it's offside, even though he knows he played it.
Yeah. And Kevin Stott here, correct me if I'm wrong on the name, but he knows right away. My AR, AR is probably in his ear. Like my AR thinks this is offside, and I see the information. I know what my AR can't know from 30, 40 yards away.
Right.
And he's not only just letting his AR know, but he's also letting everybody know, not offside. We are playing this.
When
And
he
he is
started
taking,
when he started waving, that AR started running down the field. He realized that
yeah,
the play was still going on.
yeah. Kevin Stott is doing a wonderful job of proactive management of this situation here. He's trying to save them from themselves, let them know, ignore that flag, play the whistle, as the coach would say. We're going, we're going. And
So where is that signal in the book? Even though I love it.
what's that?
It was a
It
smart
was
signal.
something.
Where
I'm
is that
sorry, Andy.
signal
It was
in the
it was
book?
it was something they talked about in their pregame.
Oops.
It's
Yeah.
called the windmill.
So, there is a lot to cover out there, and sometimes you've got no shot as a lone wolf, right? And the AR in this situation had no shot at seeing that. The referee saw it. So a lot of things to think through. And be proactive, rely on your team. Uh, this is just a great example of them. They've got all the communication tools, but they don't let it limit them. They're still communicating publicly. This is going forward.
It was on April Fool's Day too.
Yeah. Well, that was a good discussion. You folks really, really seemed to key in on what was important here, and I appreciate you coming in. Offside could feel pretty dry sometimes, and try to keep it animated with these clips and the switch ups on you guys.
Wow.
So we got through our Law 11 review. We got our 3 categories of involvement in active play. We got to talk about the opponent deliberately playing the ball and the counter situation of the deliberate save. Please do be sure to read up on that before you go into the games this weekend, and just get your gears turning. Right, open your eyes to it. We had a Team3 clip of one of these situations with the deliberate save, and the referee team was on it right away. Yeah, so I hope this brings some new thought to your offside decisions for this weekend and going forward. I don't have time. We don't have time to go back to that clip that took a long time to play out. So go back and watch last week's video. I'm trying to get it uploaded on YouTube once it gets approved, but it's also in the Google Drive link that I sent you folks, so you can watch it from there until I get it okayed on YouTube.
I feel like I have a better understanding of offsides now. So
how do I mute someone?
Did you just said offsides?
This was a lot of good
So
offsides
fired.
training.
Yes. Thank you, Keith.
I think I'm going to have to rewind it like 3 times to make sure I get the calls right eventually.
I know.
Well, I think Bert looks handsome.
That's the best Bert's ever looked.
I'm going to let you guys keep hanging out here, but I'm going to put an end on the recording right now so that you can hang out without being recorded. But before I end the recording, thank you very much for investing even more time being an even bigger referee dork. Spread the love out there with your referee knowledge. Everyone's invited to join these. Let me stop the recording right there.